Welcome to grade 8 financial maths. Alright, so today we are going to deal with four things. Number one, calculating the VAT. Number two, when price increase by a certain percentage, and also when you are discounted the price. And lastly, simple interest, and we're going to look at investment and loans. Okay, so I'm gonna make this very short questions. All right, let's start with the VAT. Okay, so in South Africa, the VAT is 15%, which is the amount of money that you are taxed every time you buy something. So you pay what we call the VAT. Okay, so VAT, okay, in SA is equals to 15%. Okay, so now that we have spoken about that, then now we can get to start our little bit of application on the VAT. Okay, so let's say maybe you are given, okay, you buy things that cost about, let's say, 300 rands. All right, what is 15% of 300 rands? Okay, so how do you get that? What you will do is, the 300 rand is the amount that you've been given. So you take the amount that you've been given, which is the 300 rand. So you take the amount, and that amount you will multiply it by 15 over 100, right? And that will give you the VAT amount. Okay, how much amount goes to tax. So let's try that. Let's try with the 300. So that means it's the 300 rand times 15 all over 100. Okay, so and then how much will that give you? Okay, obviously that's going to give you 45 rand. So which means if you buy some things that are costing 300 rand, 45 rands is tax, right? Goes to the government. Okay, so that's how you get your VAT. Let's look maybe for another example. Okay, so what if you buy something at the shop, and that thing is costing, for example, okay, let's just say 5,000 rand, right? Costing 5,000 rand. What is your VAT? Okay, your VAT is going to be your amount, which is 5,000 rand, times, right? You know that your VAT amount should be 15%, so that's going to be, right, we know that VAT equals to 15%, which is going to make 15 over 100. Remember, whenever we're given a percentage, right, we need to turn it into that number, divide by 100. Okay, so, and obviously with this, all right, you're going to find that your VAT is 750 rand. Okay, so okay, what if they ask you how much is your amount, right, that you have paid excluding the VAT? Okay, if they say excluding the VAT, it means that you need to take your original amount, okay, minus the VAT amount. Okay, and basically that's just taking your 5,000 rand and then subtracting your 750 rand, which will give you 4,250 rand. Okay, so that's it with the VAT. Let's look at our second thing that we wanted to look at, right? And that is, okay, price hike. When a price is increased by a certain percentage. Okay, so price, okay, price increase. All right, so let's say a certain shop, okay, so a certain shop that maybe, let's say they sells sneakers, okay, and the sneakers cost sell sneakers and it's costing, let's say, 1,500. All right, and they notify you that prices increased by 10%. All right, so how much are you going to pay? That's the question. The question would be, how much is the price now? Okay, so what you will do is, first thing is, you want to calculate the percentage that is equivalent to 10%. So what you will do is, take your amount again, and then multiply your amount with the percentage increase. Okay, so basically that would be 10 over 100. Okay, so this is how you will do it. You will take your amount given, 1,500, then multiply that by 10 over 100. Okay, then you will find that obviously you can quickly just cancel the zeros there. Okay, so you will find that your amount, okay, has increased by 150 rand. So which means the price has increased by 150 rand. So we haven't answered the question. The question says, how much is the price now? So the price is going to be the original amount of 1,500 plus the 10%, which is 150 rands. So together they will make 1,650 rands. Okay, that's what it will do. Okay, is there another way you could have calculated this? Yes, you could have calculated this way faster. All right, so what you could have done is, second method is, so I'll call this just this method 1. Okay, so method 2 would have been that, okay, you do it as any sort of like a formula kind of. Okay, so you would have said, okay, the new amount, okay, new amount is going to be equal to your original amount. Okay, original amount, I'll call that principal amount, I'll call that P, original amount, all right, into 1 plus, all right, the percentage increase, okay, the interest or percentage increase, which will therefore be, in this case, equals to, right, the amount was 1,500, then 1 plus 10 over 100. All right, this means that this is equals to 1,500 1500, and then into 1 plus, that will give 0.1, right, which means 1500 times 1.1. okay, how much will that give you? That will then give you same thing, 650 rands. Right, so that's a fast way so to just quickly find the new amount when you're having price increase. So when you're having price increase, you put a plus, 1 plus the increase, okay? You put 1 plus the increase there, as we did there. Okay, let's look at, for example, now if you had a discount. Right, remember when you do examples, you can pause the video and then do it on your own and see if you got the answer right. Okay, so let's now look at discount. So you see a jean in a shop, okay? For example, you see a jean in the shop and the jean is costing, let's just say it's costing 700 rands, okay? And then they tell you that now, right, there is a 50% discount. Okay, now that there's a 50% discount, okay, how much will you buy the jean? Okay, how much will the jean cost you now? Okay, obviously the first thing that you would want to do is you would want to find the 50% of 700. So you'll take 700 times the percentage, 50 over 100, okay? All right, you can just use a calculator. Okay, in this case, this will give you, okay, 7 times 5 is 35, so that will give you 350. So that means that's 50% of that. Okay, you got a 50% discount, right? After finding your 50% discount, which is 350, all right, you will go on the original amount, okay, because you want to find, you haven't answered the question, how much will the jean cost you now? So the jean will cost you, obviously, so the cost is going to be equals the original amount, 700 rand, but minus 50%, which is 350, and in this case it's going to cost you 350 rand. Right, could we have done that faster? Yes, we could have gone to our formula. All right, so new amount, okay, so the new amount would have been equals to the amount, the cost, we'll call it principal amount, and then in this case we will say that 1, instead of saying 1 plus the interest, we'll say 1 minus the percentage in interest. So we will take that amount given, 700 rands, to 1 minus, obviously it's 50 divided by 100, all right, which will give you 1 minus 0.5, which gives you 700 times 0.5, and then you quickly get your answer, which is 350 rands. Right, so that will be your discount. Right, so that's how you calculate discount. All right, and then let's deal now with simple interest. Simple interest. All right, so here I'm going to start by sharing some formulas. Okay, so the interest itself, interest amount, all right, is equals to the principal amount, the amount given, okay, times, right, the interest percentage, right, times also what we call the number of years. Okay, so let's write them. This side we've got P equals to principal amount, okay, principal amount or amount given, and then you've got I, which represents interest in percentage, okay, the percentage interest, okay, and then you've got N, which represent number of years, okay, and we've got A, which represent the amount, okay, you are calculating for. So when you are calculating the interest amount, you just have that formula. But if you are calculating the amount accumulated, okay, amount accumulated, all right, amount in total, so let me, amount accumulated over time, which means what was given and what was part of the interest, okay, amount in total. You will take your P, then it's outside the bracket, and 1, okay, plus the interest in percentage times the number of years, right? That's how you deal with it, okay. Now I'm going to show you, let's say you took 2,000 rands and invested it at, they gave you that your interest is 10% per annum, okay, per annum means per year, okay, per annum, which basically means per year, right? It means at the end of each year you are gaining 10% of the money that you put in. So question number 1 is, how much interest is that? Okay, so just find the interest. So the interest is going to be the amount given, so this, so we can list the things we've been given. We've been given P, okay, let's just say maybe you have invested it for, okay, for, let's just say for 5 years, okay, so your, let's list everything nicely, okay, so which means you're gonna say P, that's 2,000, and you're gonna say your interest, you can see your percentage there, that's 10% or 10 over 100, and then your number of years, okay, n equals to 5 years. Okay, and then what are you looking for? They're asking you for the interest amount. So interest amount is P times number of years. So this will be equal to your 2000 times your 10 over 100 times 5. Okay, so you can just simply use a calculator and get the final amount quickly. Okay, I'm gonna do it this way. So which is basically, that means in 5 years, okay, you would have accumulated an extra amount of, okay, an extra amount of 1000 rand. 1000 rand. Okay, then question number 2, okay, what is the total amount? Okay, or how much will you have in the bank in 5 years? Okay, how much will you have in the bank in 5 years? Okay, obviously you will have what is your original amount, which was 2000 rand. Okay, so final amount, and plus the amount that you have accumulated, which is your 1000 rands, and then in total that will give you 3000 rands. Okay, so right, sometimes they don't first ask you about the interest, they just ask you straight away how much will you have in your bank account in 5 years. In this case, therefore, you will now use the formula that we listed up there. So you will now say the amount is therefore equals to P into 1 plus interest times number of years. So you go straight ahead and say 2000 into 1 plus the interest, which is 10 over 100 times the number of years, which is 5. Okay, so this will give you, it will give you inside there, inside the bracket, if you work everything out, you'll get 1.5. Okay, 1.5 times 2000. Remember BODMAS, we start by working what is in the bracket, and then afterwards you will then get your final answer. You can use a calculator for that. That would be 3000 rands. Okay, that's if they don't first ask you to calculate the interest. Okay, they just ask you straight away, find the final amount. Okay, for example, let's say maybe you have invested, okay, you invested 10,000 rands, all right, at, let's say, 20% interest, for simple interest, for, let's say, 10 years. Okay, now what if question the first question says how much will you have in 10 years? Okay, Now what you will do is use a formula, the amount, total amount in 10 years, amount given, 1 plus interest times number of years. So which is going to be 10,000, 1 plus, okay, that will be your 10 over 100, all right, and all of that obviously times 10, which is the number of years. Okay, if you work out what is in the bracket, you should be able to find that it's 1, okay, plus 1 therefore you're going to find that you have 10,000, okay, multiplied by 2, so your final amount in 10 years will therefore be 20,000. 20,000 rand is how much you will be having in your bank account. Okay, so now let's look at when you are loaning. Okay, loans, simple interest loans. Okay, and again, interest amount, you calculate it by principal amount times the interest in percentage times your number of years. But then your final amount, okay, in this case your final amount is how much you still have to pay. So the amount that you still have to pay, amount to be paid, is therefore equals to principal amount 1 minus the interest times the number of years or whatever month that you are paying for. Okay, so if you're not paying for years, for maybe for 5 months, you put the month there. Okay, because usually when you make your payments, you make them per month, you don't make them per year. So I'm gonna put, let me change that into per month. Okay, and I'm gonna also, the interest there, I'm gonna put month there because usually the interest is charged per month. Okay, so whatever your interest is charged by, you just change that into that. If it's charged quarterly, you put quarters. All right, if it's charged half yearly, you put half a year. Okay, so in this case, let's say, okay, you owe an amount. Okay, you owe, for example, let's say 20,000 rand. All right, you took a loan. Okay, so okay, so you owe 20,000 rand at, let's say, 10% interest. Okay, and the interest is per month. Whether they charge you the interest at the beginning. Okay, so if they charge you an interest but they don't say monthly, for example, okay, so they just charge you an interest, so you multiply by the interest, which is 10 over 100, and not multiply by the month. Okay, so you take this, so which means the interest is 2,000 rands, let's say
Okay.
after half a year. Okay, let's change that to half a year. Okay, half a year. So which means we'll change that from being 12 to being 6. Okay, so that will mean there you're not gonna get 1.2, you're gonna get 0.6, and then there you're not gonna get negative 0.2, you'll get positive 0.4. So basically you would have paid an amount equivalent to, okay, yeah, you would have paid an amount equivalent to, okay, 0.4 times that's going to be 8. Okay, in 6 months you would have paid, okay, so okay, no, in 6 months that means the amount that still needs to be paid or left to be paid is going to be 8,000 rand. So please note that here you are calculating how much still needs to be paid. Okay, how much you still owe. Okay. Okay. What if they said, okay, how much do you still owe in, okay, how much do you still owe in, let's say, 8 months? Okay. How much do you still owe in 8 months? Or how much is still needs to be paid? Right, so that's the question. So you will do your same thing. The amount that is owed, paying 10% each time, so 20,000, 1 minus, so that will be 10 over 100 times 8. Okay, so we should be, if you work out everything in the bracket, we'll end up with 0.2. Okay, so if you check that, calculate that, it will give you 4,000 rands. All right, so that's how much you still owe. So this formula gives you how much you still owe. Okay, so you see you've got the interest. Okay, so you're paying, which means if they charge you that interest, right, it means that you are, or if you're paying in simple interest, so which means every month you're paying 2,000 rand. Okay, because you calculate the interest amount. So every month you are paying, right, 2,000 rand. Okay, so in total that needs to be paid right, let's just say if total to be paid is 20,000 rand, right, it means if you got to pay 10% every month, you're paying 2,000 rand each month. So which means if you want to find out how much you would have paid in, for example, in 6 months, okay, which makes sense, okay, in 6 months, how much did you pay? It's the interest times the month. So which means that would be your 2,000 times 6, which is equals to obviously 12,000, right? And it makes sense that if you have paid 12,000, the amount that should be remaining should be to be paid should be 20,000 minus 12,000, which gives 8,000. Okay, so you see why we say that formula gives you the amount that you still owe that still needs to be paid. Okay, and if you had been paying for 8 months, it means the amount that you have paid, okay, for 8 months you paid, okay, obviously 2,000 rand times 8, which is equals to 16,000 rands. Okay, and if you paid 16,000 rand, how much should be left? Left to pay, obviously, is the original amount, 20,000 minus 16,000, right, which gives us 4,000 rands, and which makes sense, right? Just wanted to show you that that formula gives you the amount you still owe, not the amount you have paid. All right, I hope you like the video, and if this helped you, right, give it a like, give it a subscribe, and tell me which other videos you would love me to make for you.